Hello YouTube and welcome to episode 1 of the Shaney Show. You know, this is a pleasure to record this on YouTube exclusively at the moment. It will be on Anchor eventually. We'll get on Anchor in the future, but the Shaney Show is here. We got a lot to talk about today. This will most likely be one of my longest videos ever. We got Nick Sargent coming on the show today to start it off. We're talking about NCAA. We're talking about the Super Bowl with Nick Sargent. We're talking about professional wrestling, shockingly. Kind of funny. I don't really know how that segment's going to go, but I want to try and make it weekly. We're going to talk about basketball. We're going to talk about everything sports for you guys. And if you're new to the channel, leave a subscribe. This entire podcast, and it's not really a podcast, this entire episode will be going up on the Shaney 2K main channel, as well as the Shaney 2K Clips channel. And tomorrow, or later in the day, haven't decided yet, probably tomorrow, every single segment, or at least the important ones, will get their own video separate. Shaney 2K Clips for a reason. I'm not even going to lie, I'm not sure if the full thing's going up on Shaney 2K Clips, but it's at least going up here wherever you're listening to it. You're listening to it, so, you know, it didn't go well the first time I tried to do it, but without further ado, here's the segment with Nick Sargent, and I'm going to hop into that right now. And hello, welcome to episode 1 of the Shaney Show. I have a very special guest for the first episode. He is the leader of Sellout Sports, Nick Sargent, or Sarge. How you doing today?
What's going on, guys? I'm so happy to be here. Doing great.
I'm glad to hear it. We're going to be talking about Super Bowl Sunday that just passed. But before I get into that, I want to tell you guys, go check out his podcast with his boys. I've been on one episode of it, and I just love it. They're a good group of guys, so you gotta go check it out. It'll be the only thing linked in the description. So,
yeah, no, that's awesome.
No, yeah. And how do you feel about Brady winning his 7th?
I feel that he's the greatest football player of all time, and it sucks to say coming from a Giants fan, but you can't argue that a player with 7 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, and the second quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl on 2 different teams is not the greatest of all time.
And he's the first quarterback, at least I believe, to win the Super Bowl MVP on 2 different teams, because Peyton Von Miller won on that year.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous, and nobody believed in him, and I don't really know how. This Chiefs team is very good, we all know it. Lost, 2 games this season, won the Super Bowl last year, but how do you bet against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl? I mean, the man's only lost 3 and 2 to Eli Manning, so I was betting on him, so I'm happy they won.
You just had to bring up that he lost 2 to Eli Manning. Like, shut up.
Of course I did, 2 times.
But, you know, I was really happy from a Patriots fan standpoint. In the beginning, it did honestly feel like I was watching a Patriots game for a while because, you know, they were down like 3-0. That's nothing, but still, everyone was like, because they had to punt in the beginning, and everyone was like, whoa. Now Patrick Mahomes gets it, and all they did was score a field goal, and then touchdown to Gronk. And then Chiefs do nothing, touchdown to Gronk. Like, I was like, wow. Like, Gronk really... I understand the argument for Tony Gonzalez, but he really is putting up an argument, especially if he keeps playing for greatest tight end of all time. I mean, four Super Bowls.
Yeah, right. He didn't have that much of a standout season this year. I mean, for Gronk, obviously, he's so consistent every year, but this year was okay. But then making it to the Super Bowl and getting 2 touchdowns, you can't argue that he's not up there at least.
No, yeah, and that's like the most Brady thing ever. Like, I mean, it's Gronk, everyone knows him, but it'll be someone really random to get a touchdown every year.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, for the Patriots, it'll be like Chris Hogan or something. I loved Hogan, but Chris Hogan's like a no-name to most people.
Not hated Hogan. Well, I just hated the Patriots, but for the Chiefs though, I on my podcast I called how this game was going to go. Them not having Eric Fisher and another offensive tackle, I'm blanking on his name. They could not protect Mahomes. He was doing everything he could. I mean, all those passes falling down were going viral all over whatever Instagram, Twitter, they were going viral, and he was doing whatever he can. And there were passes going off players' face masks consistently over and over again. And no one could catch a ball, and they couldn't run the ball. So really, it's hard to say that Mahomes had a bad game because even though his stats say so, you could tell how much he was fighting for it.
No, yeah, Patrick Mahomes really put his back on the team. I'm not sure if this is the tackle you're talking about, but I mean, they went an entire season without Tardif because he wanted to fight COVID as a, should not have said that word, Jesus, now YouTube's going to demonetize me. He was battling the pandemic, and he's a doctor, so he took off the whole season. So they were really down 2 to 3 linemen, at least one the entire season, and that's so tough. But I loved what Todd Bowles did, just abandoning the blitz, and he only blitzed, I think it was 5 times, and they had a Super Bowl record of like 29 pressures. It was.
Yeah, no, the Bucs defense they showed up. I mean, they played great. 10 quarterback hits and 3 sacks and 2 interceptions. They haven't played that well this entire season, not at all. Not even in the playoffs so far. And they needed to step up because nobody was expecting Tom Brady to have a bad game offensively. And everyone knew the only way that they were going to win the game is to stop Patrick Mahomes and their offense.
No, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's up there as one of Brady's best Super Bowl performances. I mean, obviously you're not going to put it over the Eagles Super Bowl or the Super Bowl 51 with the comeback, but like no interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 200 yards, and especially this is why this is one of his like most outstanding Super Bowls to me. He came in, dethroned the Chiefs, which is something that in 5 years' time he's gonna be one, if like not the only one, of people to do that in the Super Bowl and the playoffs. But also he I mean no interception. This was also the largest margin of victory for Tom Brady. Before that it was 10 points to the Rams, and before that all the rest are within a score. So that was pretty impressive.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane.
They played so well.
He played unbelievable.
For the Bucs as a whole, they ran the football too. I mean, Leonard Fournette had 89 yards, and Ronald Jones had 61 yards. And Tom Brady, well, first of all, Tom Brady coached this Bucs team the entire season. He was the head coach. So you know that all of these rushes and these plays were like at least 75% credit from Tom Brady. Bruce Arians was just there to sit there and smile and be pretty. So Tom Brady gets even more credit than he should, having 200 yards passing.
And I called it. I said that Ronald Jones would have a decent game. I said he'd be an X factor. That was wrong, but he definitely had a good game. 61 yards, 12 rushes.
He had a good game.
And also, I said it was going to be Ronald Jones, but it ended up being Leonard Fournette. That just like the Patriots, something they utilized all season, but not like he did when he was a Patriot. He was going to use it back to receive a lot, which they did with Leonard Fournette, 46 yards receiving on 4 receptions. That was big. And yeah, Brady just played how he always plays, and he did really good. No doubt about it.
I mean, he only missed 8 throws, which is pretty unheard of, especially for a Super Bowl.
Especially for Brady.
Lenny, like you said. Yeah, playoffs Lenny, like you said, had a day. I mean, he had over 100 yards in receiving and rushing combined. And really, the defense just stopped the Chiefs. It was the whole game. I don't think the Chiefs ever had a chance out of the first quarter, really. They just looked horrible.
No, and this is going to go down as, in my opinion, of watching Super Bowls, because I can't speak for anything under, like, the 40s or 30s in Super Bowls, because I'm only 17. This is going to go down as the second most boring Super Bowl, and it's very close for first, because you could argue that the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl and Super Bowl 53, that it was close the entire game. You were watching to see one team score when it was like 3-3 at halftime. This game, them not allowing a score in the fourth quarter just was such a testament to this defense and how they played. Besides that, their best game was against Aaron Rodgers when Brady threw 3 interceptions and still won the game against Aaron Rodgers, MVP this season. Their defense came out in the playoffs, but in the Super Bowl, that was their peak defense for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it was they shut down. I mean, the Chiefs didn't score a single touchdown. This is the team that everybody thought could have gone on the greatest run in the history of football. They went 14-2 this year with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill. It was a dynamic duo. They literally couldn't stop them. And then at close to the end of the season playoffs, Travis Kelce comes in playing insane. He didn't have too bad of a game, 133 yards. He was doing all he could. They just couldn't run the ball. But this team, this was an unbeatable team. They only really had one loss because one of them was Patrick Mahomes wasn't even playing in the game. And I think a lot of people are surprised, but it's weird because they shouldn't be. You should not be surprised that Tom Brady is winning another Super Bowl. I think just people did not want it to happen.
I mean, I think the Bucs were prepared for it all season that they'd be playing the Chiefs in the playoffs. I never think that Brady thought the Bills could go all the way. The Browns really shocked everyone by beating the Steelers, even though the Steelers were just so bad the end of the season. But, I mean, the Chiefs were so good that they beat the Browns with a backup quarterback in the fourth quarter, like Chad Henne. And I was saying how they should have put Chad Henne in because Mahomes was obviously limping. Now, that's no discredit to Mahomes. Mahomes is absolutely incredible. But the thing is, like, if you're limping around, I mean, he was still making every throw he could. But if you're limping around like that, it's just, I don't know. Chad Henne probably could have done better. And in my opinion, a lot of teams could have done better against the Bucs out of the AFC. Like I'm not going to say the Bills because the Bills did awful in the AFC Championship. But teams like even the Steelers in the beginning weeks of the season, they could have put up more than 9 points.
Yeah.
The Browns, in my opinion, offensively could have put up more than 9 points, especially with not as much of a game plan from Todd Bowles, because Todd Bowles was ready to abandon the blitz, I believe, all season. They were prepping for this all season.
Yeah, and like what you were saying before about Patrick Mahomes, I argue he had that same injury in this Super Bowl because he did not look okay. Although he was getting away from those rushers, he really couldn't run the football at all like he normally does, and I know it's because of the turf toe. Now ESPN is reporting that he's going to get surgery tomorrow on the turf toe, which if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm holding my breath. I mean, it's kind of weird. No one really knows the severity of it, even though it's been there since like the end of the season. So it's kind of weird, almost thinking like it could be bad. But I think that was a factor in this game that he wasn't very mobile, even though it looked like he was because he had to be.
No, yeah, that was all, in my opinion, adrenaline, trying to not get sacked. He was running 15 yards behind, throwing at 25, 30 yards out of that. And, I mean, they're saying how that's the injury. I think personally, I mean, God bless him. I hope he does great. I think next season he's going to come out with the biggest chip in NFL history on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
You can't deny that. It's going to be like, I mean, there's nothing to really compare it to besides Tom Brady's revenge tour when they went to Super Bowl 51. I mean, he was suspended 4 games that season, still had one of his best seasons, only lost 1 game to the Seahawks that year. I firmly believe that Patrick Mahomes is going to win MVP next year unless like Jared Allen comes out amazing or a running back puts up one of the most, probably Derrick Henry, puts up the most historic season of all time over Adrian Peterson.
Don't count out Saquon Barkley.
Shut up. Don't.
He wants it bad. He has one more season. Well, we think. We obviously don't know if he's going to resign, but he has one more season on his contract on the Giants. He wants it bad. He knows he's going to be paid so much money if he has a good season on the Giants to go somewhere else the season after. I'm expecting it. I'm not waiting for it to happen. I'm expecting it, and the Giants are going to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a really tough thing in that tough of a division, Sarge. That's. I mean, I don't know. They're going to the playoffs. We all know it. Unless the Washington football team gets something together this year. Unless the Eagles come back with.
The Eagles, yeah.
No, they have a good chance.
Eagles are not.
We gotta see what their trade for Carson Wentz is. We gotta see what that is. Because that could make the Eagles. I mean, Carson Wentz was really their downfall. Their receivers not catching balls for the last 2 years. That was their downfall. The Eagles have a chance. Their defense is okay.
What do you think about Jalen Hurts?
I think they should have started him way earlier than they did.
Yeah, I talked about. I think they would have won more games, but I still think it would have been a bad decision to start him early because we all know how it went with Carson Wentz and the relationship that was broken there.
I still think there's
a chance. If they were going to do it earlier, they had to be positive. They had to be sure that this was their guy.
I mean, I think the dumbest decision they made this season was putting in, I'm blanking on his name, but their third-string quarterback in that last game when this was Jalen Hurts' moment to have a comeback game, to see what he was made of in clutch time, and then they were just like, nope, we're going to put in Sudfield. That's his name. And
yeah, well, that's why the Giants didn't go to the playoffs, so.
Well, yeah, and I really hope that the Eagles are on the verge of playoffs and need a giant win, and then the Giants just put in their their practice team.
Me too.
But no, the Giants is a hot take I like. The Patriots doing something is a hot take that won't happen. That's just my hopes. I mean, whoever gets Deshaun, unless you're in the AFC East, you have a very, very good chance. I'm saying the Dolphins, I mean, that's going to be a battle with the Bills to get into the playoffs. Honestly, Dolphins could make the playoffs with Deshaun, but the Bills would probably still beat them. If he goes to the Jets, there's no way. I mean, yeah, they'll win a couple games. The Patriots might be at the bottom of the division. But if he goes to the Patriots, again, a battle, not as good as the... I'm gonna put away my pride. Not as good as the Dolphins would do with him. But, I mean, any team there, that's just tough. But any team besides that, besides, like, the Jaguars, they'll probably make the playoffs. Like, the Bears, that's a playoff team. I actually talk about later in this episode a very, very hot take where I think he'll go. And... It's kind of a crazy one that no one is thinking is going to happen. But, I mean, the Super Bowl next year, we can talk about that. Who do you think is honestly... and don't you dare say the Giants are going to be in the Super Bowl. I swear to God.
No.
That's like Pat going, the Jets are going to be in the Super Bowl in 3 years or something stupid. He always makes some hot take that sounds smart because he's just so good at arguing. Yeah. But I want to hear who you think is going to be in Super Bowl 56.
No, listen. I know a lot of people don't like it. But I like the Bills next year a lot. I really like what they showed this year. I mean, they really kind of came out of nowhere to me, personally. I didn't see it coming at all. I just really like Josh Allen so much. I think he's definitely a franchise quarterback. I think he'll do great. Obviously, the Chiefs, they won't stop. Patrick Mahomes will be back. That's an obvious. It'd be stupid for me to even say that. Tom Brady's coming back. The Bucks. I don't know if they'll run it back. I don't have a lot of faith that they will. I think Tom Brady's pretty happy where he is now, so he won't be fighting too hard, to prove to Belichick and stuff. But I really like the Bills in the AFC, and I think the NFC is going to be a battle. I think there's a lot of teams in the NFC that are going to be battling. But yeah, and listen, the Bills, and I'm rooting for the Bills. New York team, I have their back if the Giants don't go all the way.
No, I have the Bills back too, even though I'm in that division and I should hate the Bills. The Bills lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. To see them get to the Super Bowl at least would just be amazing. But you wanna throw a name out for an NFC team, or are you just going with that you have no idea? Because I might go on the same boat.
Yeah, I don't want to throw a name out. Mm-hmm. There's really no one. Like, there's no one. I mean. It's hard. You can't just say the Packers because that would just be ridiculous. Like you can't say that. That wouldn't make any sense, especially knowing like what's going to happen with this team in the future. Because I don't think they're going to be good. Personally, they're looking like the Eagles politically falling apart completely. So I don't think you can throw a name out there. And part of it is also because I want to throw the Giants name out there because I don't like saying that any other team in the conference is going to make it to the Super Bowl. But I don't really have a front runner. I don't know if you do.
I mean, what you said about the Packers, I'll agree with. I think Aaron Rodgers needs to leave because he's late in his career. He needs to leave. I mean, Pat McAfee always says it, how he could see him in a different jersey with him on the phone, and he's very professional. He's never going to say that, but especially after they drafted a different quarterback in the first round, who was, I think, the first or second first-round quarterback selection to never start or play in a game, really, for the season because Aaron Rodgers just went off. But, I mean, Aaron Rodgers should leave. I don't agree with one part, the NFC, about the Giants division. I think, honestly, if the Eagles get together, they'll be a force. If the Cowboys play how they should, which they haven't in the last 20 years.
I think the Cowboys will be more of a force than the Eagles, for sure.
No, yeah, I think the Cowboys could totally go all the way. Washington, they get it together. They could do something, and of course the Giants. Yes, they could do something. I just didn't want to hear you say it, but
it's just like all every team is so like they have so many like faults to their team. None of them are so solid. Like the Saints have all their faults. The Seahawks have all their faults. The Rams definitely have all their faults. Like there's no team, and that's why it's going to be a battle. It's because there's no big front runners in the conference, and we definitely saw that in the NFC East division this year, for sure. So I'm excited for next year.
And, of course, you can never forget about some teams like the Cardinals. I mean, you mentioned it before. The Bucs could totally run it back, but that just seems like for a 44-year-old Tom Brady and a old Gronk and everyone on that team's just aging. Unless their offense gets significantly better, it's going to be tough to root for them. I never root against Brady. I hope Brady wins 7 more of them, but that'd be amazing. But out of the AFC, a lot of people aren't going to agree with me. But I wrote it. I have an article. You can go read it. I said that the Browns were going to be amazing without Odell. Odell's coming back.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No one said everyone said Odell got injured. They're out of the playoffs. They made the playoffs, and they even made it to the second round. I said that they were going to do that back in September or October where they lost Odell. This year they have Odell coming back. I think Odell's going to come back with a fire. I mean, the Bucs, the Chiefs, I think are going to be, some people are saying, is this the end of the dynasty? I don't think it's the end of the dynasty, but I think they need a year or two to get their stuff back together. I mean, it's tough to come back from a Super Bowl loss. I feel like they have more to lose than they would have if they won another one. They had to go for a three-peat. Now, they're going for the dynasty. They're going for the legacy of winning 2 out of 3 years. So I think that's going to be tough. The Bills, I mean, they're always just so tough. If it's not the Browns, it's the Bills or Chiefs for me. I'm putting out a bold take. I think the Browns are going to the Super Bowl next year.
The Browns are going to the Super Bowl. Really? Okay.
That's my bold take.
It's just amazing.
It's not that bold because they have so many offensive weapons. They could really go toe-to-toe with any team in a shootout. Most teams in a shootout. But as we saw in a lot of games. But their defense needs help. Their defense needs work. Myles Garrett, I mean, he went from the most hated player one of the most hated players in NFL history to a Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate. So everyone's back on good terms with Myles. I think their division's going to be odd because the Ravens choked again. Ravens need to get it together. The Steelers, I have no hope for that team. I hope Juju has to go to like the CFL, if I'm being honest. I don't like Juju. And the Browns are in it, and then the Bengals. I mean, come on.
Can we just get a quick shout out, Sean Newcomb?
I was about to shout him out, Sean.
I have a message from Sean to you. You're short.
He said that about me?
Yeah, I had to get it right back in your face. Shout out, Sean Newcomb.
I don't want to hear it. He doesn't have eyebrows. No, I love Sean, but I mean, I also hate him at the same time. He makes the dumbest takes. He said that my predictions, because I'm amazing at predicting. He goes, well, you probably have 1 million bad ones. I don't have that many bad ones. So Browns are making the Super Bowl next year, Sean.
The Super Bowl next year.
Hey, that's subject to change. I have until like September to change that. But right now, I think the Browns are gonna make it. And then in the NFC side, again, like you said, that's very tough. I think the Packers could do it because Aaron Rodgers is going to have even more of a chip on his shoulder this year because, they lost to Brady, who played awful. And, of course, you can't count out the Bucs running it back. And, of course, this is going to be a weird one. I'm not going to say a certain team that's going to make it out of the NFC because that's too tough. But the Saints could always get a quarterback.
Yeah, they always could.
Jameis Winston could come back after being mentored by Breeze. Because I don't think Breeze is going to come back this season. He hasn't announced anything yet, but he's not coming back. So
I don't know. I think he might.
I hope he doesn't.
Have a half season to mentor. We'll see.
Yeah, and I made it later in the video. I talk about who's going to go to the Saints. I talk about the Goff trade like we were talking about. So the Rams with Stafford, this is going to be one of the best teams he's ever played with. Don't count out the Rams. Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, who should not have... No, he should have won Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know where I was going with that. But, so it's going to be Browns versus anybody in the NFC, if we're being honest. Like, there's not the worst team in the NFC is still, like, not that bad in the AFC. Like, it's insane. Like, your division, the Giants division, did so awful, and one of them made the playoffs still. Like, watch it be Browns-Washington. I'm kidding. That would be awful.
That would be insane. That would be ridiculous.
That'd probably be a good game. That'd probably be a better game than this year.
I don't even know who's the quarterback for Washington. We probably won't even heard of right now.
I hope.
It'll be some new guy that we never heard of.
I almost forgot to say it. if the Saints, I didn't bring this up later because I brought up an actual person I want to see go to the Saints. If the Saints get Heineke or if the Patriots get Heineke, they're going to the Super Bowl. Just saying it.
That is ridiculous.
I'm kidding. I'm totally joking. I just love Heineke, and he deserves to have a shot on some team. And if the Jaguars don't draft a quarterback, which is a very heated discussion between their front office right now, they should get Heineke as their quarterback. Minshew's not doing much. Heineke 2024. I just love him. So I'm gonna get his jersey. But Sarge, if you want to leave it off on anything, you can say whatever you want, can plug whatever you want. And this is your time to shine.
No, listen, Shaney Show 2021 gonna be big. I'm watching every episode. Whoever's listening right now, also watch every episode first, and then go to Sellout Sports and listen to the podcast and follow us on Instagram. And last thing I want to say is say quads only. New York Giants are winning the Super Bowl in 2022, I guess. All my New Jersey, New York Giants fans out here, we got this. Let's go.
And then I'll say something really quick. Sean Newcomb, you're short and don't have eyebrows, and and you're not even the best. You're not even the best player on your JV squad of hockey. I love you, Sean. I'm not even gonna lie. Like Sean's becoming one of my favorites at Sellout Sports. It's so funny. But go check out Sellout Sports. It was a pleasure having you on, and thank you for your Super Bowl prediction. Go Browns.
Yeah, no problem. Later, bro.
A big thank you to Nick Sarge once again. Make sure to go follow Sellout Sports on Instagram, Twitter, and everything you listen to podcasts on. They're a really good group. I'm not really a part of the team yet, but I'm actively trying to be. So go check him out. Go check out Nick Sarge. He's a good friend of mine, and he's awesome. But getting into the next segment of this video, NCAA and EA have agreed to make the next football video game for college, and it's amazing. It's the first installment of the franchise in the game since NCAA 2014, which is a big deal. And to my knowledge, I believe the players will be getting paid. Now, this is an official thing from DK Nation at DraftKings.com. EA Sports is bringing back their beloved NCAA college football game. To make the game happen, EA Sports has partnered with collegiate licensing company CLC to make sure they had the FBS schools, traditions, uniforms, and playbooks, among other things. Ready to go for the game? Over 100 teams will be in the game. This was reported 6 days ago as you're watching this. Now, that's pretty impressive to me. Over 100 teams. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get the 300-plus teams in it. I imagine there's going to be a lot of players. Trevor Lawrence is probably going to be on the cover, or Devonta Smith. I'm fine with either. I don't really care who's on the cover. I'm probably not even getting it considering I don't have an Xbox Series X. But, this is a big deal regardless. NCAA 14 is something people still play religiously. People still make videos like RBT, Good Game Bro, and many, many more. I stopped gaming on this channel, but, it's pretty impressive how much people still play this game, even though it's been 7 years now. And it coming out again, I'm just hoping it doesn't... I really hope it doesn't put shame to the entire franchise. I'm excited for it. I take that back. I might get it. I'm not sure, though. I don't know. You guys should let me know if I should get it once it comes out. But even if it's not NCAA 21, I'm hoping NCAA 22 comes out. I really hope players get paid what they deserve. I mean, I'm guessing what they'll do is it'll come out the year after. Like, 21 will be about the past college season. At least that's what I'd assume. Because updating it weekly just doesn't seem like something EA has ever been very good at. But, so then it would make sense like Trevor Lawrence will be in the league. You can legally pay him, and it'll be easier to, because some states you still can't pay all college players. Like California is a big one that you can at the moment. But, I really like this. 100 teams in the league. And a big part I liked was that they said traditions will be in it. So that means like stuff like, let's say the turnover. There's so many stupid turnover things. Like the Miami has the turnover chain. That means probably the turnover chain is going to be in the video. There's like a crown. There's like the throne. There's a bunch of stupid things. I'm hoping student sections in the game will look cool. The uniforms, that's a big thing I really like because you're very limited in NCAA 14 at least. There's 2 uniforms. That could be really cool. Hopefully the make a team thing. Like, I remember there was this one series years ago now. It was about the Pandas. It was like a made-up team. Hoping that's a thing. And I really like the playbooks aspect too because, having a lot of like Nick Saban plays in it and a lot of different plays in it will be really cool. I am, you know what, I'm not going to tell you my favorite college team because I'm not about to get roasted. If you comment it, maybe I'll tell you, but I'm not saying now on the video what my favorite college team is. But NCAA 21 or 22, whichever, pretty excited about it. You know, I think this is a good thing. All-around players, EA, everybody, this is awesome. Next up on the Shaney Show inaugural episode, we're going to be talking about the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade. Now, it's been over a week. Everyone's gotten their opinions out on this, and I want to get into my opinions. But first, the entire trade details. The Lions sent Matthew Stafford to the Rams and got Jared Goff, a 2021 third-round pick, a 2022 first-round, and a 2023 first. Now, a lot of people are saying that the Lions won this trade. Here's the thing. The Rams are a very good football team. Just remember, they beat the Seahawks in the playoffs. Past couple of years it's been easy, but not something a lot of teams can easily say they've done. The Seahawks are a very good football team. The Rams are debatably even better last season and will be better this season. Get the cigars out. They had a big chip on their shoulder. I firmly believe if they had a good quarterback, they could have potentially went farther. And they're getting their good quarterback. You know, Jared Goff, I love him to death. You know, he played my Patriots in Super Bowl 53 and did absolutely nothing. I think him in Detroit, he has nothing to lose. There's going to be a new head coach there if there's not already. I'm really not sure who the head coach in Detroit is. I don't think Detroit fans know. Because I know Matt Patricia came back to my Patriots. So, I like this move in Jared Goff's case. It's kind of his chance to prove himself. He still has that insane contract that, you know, good for him. But Matthew Stafford has everything to lose here. And so do the Rams. The Rams, they could crash and burn. They could lose Matthew Stafford. They could lose Aaron Donald, for anybody who knows. I doubt that'll ever happen. I firmly believe Aaron Donald will retire in a Rams jersey. But, you know, they're always going to have one of the best defenses in the league. At least pass rushing defenses. You know, you got Jalen Ramsey on the team. Again, amazing. You got a lot of dogs on this team. You got a lot of good players on this team. It just comes down to the offense personally. The defense is obviously going to be amazing. But the Rams can go far in the playoffs. So depending on what happens with the Saints. If Drew Brees retires and they take a year off, that's one team you got out of it. Then you got the Bucs still. The Bucs are obviously coming back firing even harder than this year potentially. Green Bay, whatever happens with A-Rod, I think he'll stay. But if he leaves, that's a huge one. If Deshaun goes to a team in the AFC or NFC, that's terrifying because Deshaun Watson will make any team that's already decent a contender. Not a contender, but at least in the playoffs. Like, if he goes to the Bears, they're going to go to the playoffs. I have a weird prediction about Deshaun, but I want to wait until they start listening to, you know, some of their offers because I have a cool one. I want to talk about it in a separate video, maybe just on Shaney 2K, maybe not a part of the Shaney Show, but you know I do love Deshaun Watson and I hope he does well. You always got the Cardinals on that side of things. You always got again the Seahawks. You know, it's a tough team to beat, but I think it's doable. Maybe not next year. Because you got DK, you got Russell, you got whoever they draft. They always draft incredibly well. They got DK with the second-round pick that the Patriots traded, which I still hate to this day. But honestly, in my opinion, Lions won the trade. You know, the potential of the Rams just bursting into flames and having an awful season that results in a good draft pick and a good draft pick for the Lions, that's huge. That is so big. Because then the Lions are also going to be bad. So, probably. Or they could be decent, and they'll still get a good draft pick. And they could have 2 good draft picks. Like, imagine they get the 1st and, like, the 10th. They could trade that for somebody. Honestly, I think their best move, probably trade Jared Goff already. Get Deshaun Watson on your team. You trade 2 firsts and, like, a future first, all from the Rams to the Texans and Jared Goff. And I don't know, throw somebody else in there. Not JJ. Don't get rid of JJ. Or not JJ. What am I thinking? I'm thinking of the Texans. and you throw somebody else on the Lions in there, not the rookie that's really good, but you got to throw in somebody else, and then you just get Deshaun straight up in like a 6th, because you always got to throw in an awful pick there. I think the Texans might listen to that one. But that's my opinion on the Mafford Stafford. I keep calling him that. Mafford Stafford and Jared Goff trade. And, I want to get into the Deshaun Watson trade next. And now we're getting into the Deshaun Watson demands trade. Now, this is odd for sure, because Deshaun Watson has been on the Texans since he left Clemson. And I've always watched Clemson with a close eye. Him and DeAndre Hopkins played together. They lost DeAndre. They lost everybody. Amazed they kept JJ and Deshaun. But Deshaun wants out. And the Texans just aren't listening. They're not picking up the phone for trade offers, which that's the worst thing a franchise can do. That makes players not want to play in your franchise, if to be completely honest. I understand Deshaun is a generational talent, but it just looks better. People are going to go, oh, okay, they listen to their players if, you ask for a trade publicly. And it just pisses me off that they're not listening. Deshaun obviously deserves better if you're not going to give him an offensive line. But I want to talk about some places he should go, and I want to talk about Brett Favre's comments on the entire thing. And I'll start with Brett Favre's comments. Favre said, and I quote, "I'm kind of old school. You get paid a ton of money to do a certain job, and you just do it, and you let the chips fall where they may." That is very funny from a player who retired twice. You retired from Green Bay, went to the Jets, and then you retired from the Jets and went to the Vikings to play your old team. I'm not going to curse on my channel, Brett Favre, but I've never liked you. I know you're not talking about the chips falling into the right place. Now, maybe if you would have, I'm not, I can't even say what I'm thinking because it's just messed up. I just don't like you, Brett Favre. And especially you coming after players saying these types of things. Like, really? Really? You're going to talk about chips falling into place when you left Green Bay. That's just hysterical to me because of how you left, like, your NFL, career. It's just sad, honestly, because leaving to the Jets is fine. Trying to turn around the Jets, that's one thing. That is one, great thing. But you appeared in 2 Super Bowls, one against the, to my knowledge, the New England Patriots. I'm pretty sure. And you beat them. Nice job. But then you appeared in Super Bowl 32. I don't think you won. Or no, I'm sorry. No, yeah. Green Bay Packers, you won. You won MVP 3 years in a row. And then you went to the Jets. And then the Vikings. Amazed you didn't unretire again. You probably still could. It's just so annoying when retired players will talk about what current players should do when they did the complete opposite. Now, maybe it's a total, oh, I know better because I went through that. I went through the same thing. I made the first mistake. That's fair. But he said it's because he's old school. Stupidest thing he could have possibly said. Brett Favre, get a real job. I'm kidding. Brett Favre, just don't say things like that. Like, you know what? Say whatever you want, Brett Favre. I can't control what you say. I don't agree with what you said. I love you, Brett Favre. I know I say I don't like you much. It's because you went to the Jets and Vikings. If you retired with the Packers, it would have been one thing. It's the same reason why I had a lot of disdain for Brady for a few months. But of course, he won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. But anyway, some places I think Deshaun Watson should go. Deshaun Watson, here's my first team that's going to shock a lot of people. Deshaun Watson should try to get to the Saints. Yes, I said it. A lot of people aren't going to agree with it. A lot of people haven't even thought of this. Drew Brees, it's announced that he's most likely retiring. He hasn't announced anything, but if I was a betting man, which I am, I'm a degenerate gambler, I would put money on Drew Brees retiring. They're looking for the next quarterback. Now, I'm fine with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, I think he deserves a shot, but also I would take Deshaun Watson over Jameis Winston any day of the week. Any year, any weather, I don't care. Deshaun Watson, again, generational talent, deserves a great franchise, deserves a great wide receiver. like Michael Thomas, deserves a good defense that the Saints have, and deserves just a legacy the Saints have and a good head coach that he didn't get in the Texans. And I think this is the best move for him. I think it's one that a lot of teams aren't looking at. But also, you're talking to the kid February 23rd, 2020. I made a video predicting that Tom Brady would go to the Tampa Bay Bucks. That'll be linked in the description of this. Before anyone said that he would go to the Bucks and what he won a Super Bowl. So shut up. I'm just saying, if you're going to say I'm bad at predicting, Sean Newcomb, you said that I was bad at predicting. I'm going to at you in this. And you said I probably make a million bad takes. I'm not predicting that he's going there. I'm just saying it's a very good move for him. But anyway, back to other teams. The Bears, Bears are a struggling team, not as bad as the Texans. The Bears were a playoff team this year, did okay, not great. Honestly, they did awful against the Saints, but they could have beat the Saints if they really wanted to. He could turn this franchise around. He's better than Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky for Deshaun Watson, a bunch of firsts. That's the thing about the Saints. I can't fathom a trade that would make sense without them getting rid of probably Jameis, probably Michael Thomas, if I'm being honest, and like a bunch of picks. Without getting rid of Michael Thomas, you need to get rid of a very good, probably defensive player. Maybe their pass rusher. I doubt. I'm not even going to say his name because he seems untouchable to me. Alvin Kamara, maybe? Like, there's not many things that make sense in my head for Deshaun, but that is the best team I can see him going to. There's the Bears, you need a lot of firsts, Mitch Trubisky and probably a receiver, even though they have none, and probably a player on defense, because they're asking for a king's ransom. Patriots are another team. Jarrett Stidham goes to the Texans. That'd be smart, in my opinion, trade for Jarrett Stidham. Probably get a couple picks. Bill Belichick doesn't even want picks. I would also go for N'Keal Harry because he hasn't done anything in New England, if we're being honest. I love N'Keal Harry, but go for N'Keal Harry for sure. And then probably also, honestly, if I'm the Patriots, I'm trading Gilmore because Gilmore, he's getting older, he's regressing. Some people I would not trade. J.C. Jackson, no chance. If they ask for Cam Newton, he's gone. Give him to him. Another person I would not trade. Any lineman we have. Somebody else I wouldn't trade. Any young receiver we draft. And any young quarterback we draft besides Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham to the Bears, I could care less. Another team that would probably work, the Dolphins. Don't even have to explain it. Tua for Deshaun, a couple picks. Probably. You can't get rid of Howard. There's no chance in hell it'll happen. Again, a receiver, defensive player, something good. And I'm just going to list one more team. If Aaron Rodgers leaves the Green Bay Packers, which I think could happen, instead of letting him be a free agent, the best chance they have is trading him to the Texans. And I think that will be the one trade the Texans entertain. Besides that, of course, there's dark horse teams like the Lions could also always trade for him, even though they just got Jared Goff. I'm trying to think of other weird. The Jets, of course. Jets are always in it, but the Jets will never get anything ever. I'm trying to think of other teams. The Raiders are always in the mix. Yeah, they could do it. But it'd be tough. The Broncos, their fan base switches from quarterback to quarterback every week. But that's all I'm going to talk about Deshaun. I love Deshaun. Next, we're going to get into the professional wrestling segment of this podcast. So to start, if you're not into professional wrestling, there's timestamps in the description to skip to the next part of the video. To start off, I want to get into who Edge should wrestle. If you didn't see, last Sunday, so not Super Bowl Sunday, the week before it, Edge won the Royal Rumble as well as Bianca Belair. While I will not be getting to Bianca this week, probably next week I will be. Edge has 3 choices on who he should wrestle, potentially 4 if there's a change in the championship in the NXT, but I doubt it'll happen across the brands. So his choices are between Roman Reigns, who is on the SmackDown brand, Drew McIntyre on the Raw brand, who will be wrestling tonight, and, so there's really 5. Sheamus, who could potentially beat Drew McIntyre tonight. Won't happen. I'll put all my money on it. And then NXT, it's between Pete Dunne and Finn Balor. Now, the thing about who I think he should wrestle. I'm going to give kind of an analysis of each. Roman, it'll be a cool match. You know, Paul, Roman, Tribal Chief, the Usos. Everybody's going to be on Roman's side versus just Edge, maybe Christian. It'd be a cool match. Spear versus Spear. It's kind of a dream match. Would have been a dream match back in like while like Roman was still with the Shield, in my opinion. I like this new Roman angle, but I don't think this is the main event for WrestleMania. I don't honestly think Roman should be in the main event this year. I love Roman. I love Roman's new whole persona, and I like that they finally accepted him as a heel, while they should have years ago. Even though I think they totally flip-flopped. Now, I'm not using his cancer as an excuse, but when he came back from cancer, the entire planet loved him. Like, all of the universe loved him. And then they made him a heel. It's just like, you had a perfect face opportunity, and you had a perfect heel opportunity before that. I think it's just a little silly that they flip-flopped it. But I love Roman Reigns. I just don't think this match. Drew McIntyre really isn't the match. That's my least favorite out of the three. Of course, Sheamus, that won't happen, so I'm not even going to get into that. Drew McIntyre, I just don't like. I feel like Drew McIntyre should really fight somebody like Karrion Kross from NXT, or somebody cool from the Raw brand, like even Keith Lee would be cool. Give Keith Lee the title, maybe. Brock Lesnar versus Drew would be really dope, but I doubt it'll happen. I don't think Brock's going to come back. John Cena could always come back and fight Drew. You never know. I mean, he could always lose it in the Elimination Chamber and then rematch at WrestleMania. I mean, so much could happen. Randy Orton versus Edge will probably happen. Like, Randy Orton wins it in the Elimination Chamber and then Edge versus Randy. That'd be cool. But my final one is the NXT matchup. I do believe Finn Balor is going to retain. And Finn Balor versus Edge is the match that nobody is thinking about that should happen. Finn Balor versus Edge should go on for 35 minutes and be a believable match. It's a dream match no one would ever think of. And honestly, if Edge wins the NXT title, I don't think that's the move. I feel like this should be one of Edge's last matches, if not his last match, unless he wants to wrestle longer. If he wants to wrestle for the next 2 years, that's fine. But if this is his final match, this is a good way to end it with Finn Balor. Kind of, he could move to the main roster after this. Finn Balor had one main roster move that didn't really work out after it should have. It was just plagued by injuries. And I love that he's probably going to go down as one of the greatest NXT wrestlers of all time, besides maybe Adam Cole. But I really like Finn Balor going to the main roster after like beating Edge maybe, and then maybe just dropping the NXT title or even losing it to Pete Dunne, and then just something cool. I think the next in line is probably Cross or Pete Dunne. I like Pete Dunne a lot. He should probably get a chance to, or Adam Cole again, or just really anyone on that roster that is like, you know, like I mean like the top 5 guys. I don't mean like, I don't mean just anybody, but I think Finn Balor versus Edge is the match. You know, you could totally have the coup de grace into a spear. You could have the spear into like a sling blade. Like there's so many cool moves I could see happening, but that's all I want to talk about for the who Edge should wrestle part. Next, I want to get into what Lucha House Party should do. Something not a lot of people are talking about for sure. Lucha House Party is one of my favorite tags on the main roster that no one will talk about. So, you have to move. So, Lucha House Party has been wrestling on the Blue brand, but they've been exclusively NXT for the last month or so. And I like this move. I like the Lucha House Party has been NXT. They did very well in the Dusty Classic. They did lose recently, unfortunately, after they had a very good run. So, damn, it's late. I'm sorry. So, you gotta make this a faction. You can't just have, like, the 2 people there already. You need to team up with Rey Mysterio, first of all. He needs to be a manager, part-time type of role for this team. You got to put Dominic on the team. You know, you have the bloodline of Mysterio, Dominic, you have Grand Metalik on there, and you have it's a very good luchador type tag team. You could even give Dominic a mask, potentially. Then you have Kalisto. Kalisto is on a different brand from everybody else. Like, I believe Dominic's on the blue brand, and I think Lucha House Party's on the blue brand, and I think Kalisto's on the red brand. Kalisto isn't really fighting, hasn't fought about a month or two, at least hasn't appeared on a show in a month or two, so Kalisto moving brands, it doesn't really matter. But, so that's, like, not my concern. I'm fine with moving Kalisto. But then, after that, this is going to be, like, of a Latino world order type thing. And a Mexican faction would be really cool, and a luchador faction. That'd be really cool in today's age. You know, you got Dolph and Robert Roode as champs, so putting the belt on Lince and Grand Metalik is, like, perfect to me. Because Dolph and Robert Roode aren't going to do much. They could probably go their separate ways and have, like, a pre-show fight on Mania against each other. And this could give Dominic a boost and exposure he needs, because he's only, like, 23. And maybe making him Cruiserweight champ would be cool. Get him in the 4 Horsemen type of tag team matches, so he can be one of the tag team members. Kalisto and Ray should get shots at stuff too. I think this is a great idea. Maybe moving Dominic down to NXT to represent the faction. Maybe giving him a run with any of the 3 major titles. Even the Cruiserweight title would be cool in my opinion. But, you know, that is the end of the wrestling segment. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys like this, it'll be in next week's. If not, comment it. It won't be in next week's. So I can't go this video without mentioning my New England Patriots' future as a team. So here's the moves. Realistically, I mean, obviously I could say, oh, we could trade everything for Trevor Lawrence or Devonta Smith. I'm not going to be stupid. Here's realistically what I think the New England Patriots have to do. We have to get Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins. It's obvious they're probably moving on from him, probably getting a different quarterback like Deshaun Watson or keeping Tua or something like that. That'd be awesome. So Fitzmagic comes to the Patriots as a bridge quarterback. You know, start him at the beginning of the season. Even if we put Jarrett Stidham in, I don't care. He can't be like a 16-game, 17-game next season starter. Draft a good quarterback or get a younger quarterback, such as keeping Jarrett Stidham or even getting like Drew Lock. But then Drew Lock should probably start. But also I'm fine with that as a bridge. And even if we can't get Fitzpatrick, or even if we can, if we keep Cam, he can't be the definite starter. Same with Fitzpatrick, bridge quarterback. Need to get some young wide receivers in the draft and across the league. There's some real, I mean, honestly, besides young wide receivers, like people in the draft, we can get different people from Alabama we could always get in the draft. Different people from, I mean, this draft is really stacked with young talent, like every draft. But this draft is going to be one of the special drafts. You got so many good quarterbacks, you got so many good receivers, you have a Heisman-winning receiver, you got good running backs, you got good linemen, you got good everything. Defense is a little bit wary in this draft, though. I think the young wide receivers is the biggest part, and to get a veteran. Danny Amendola, no. Because what he said about Brady, none of Boston likes him right now, and honestly, I don't think we need to be reunited with Amendola at the moment. Chris Hogan, maybe. I love Chris Hogan. I'd be fine with him as a vet. He knows the Patriots system very, very well. He's an amazing player still. He's the only player, I think, unless Fitzpatrick does it this year, but he's the only player to be on every AFC East team, that being the Patriots, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Bills, which is, you know, kind of impressive. Another old person we get is even Gronk. Gronk, I believe, is a free agent either next year or this year. Gronk in free agency would be dope. Tight end we could get besides him. There's not much that's come to mind. We could always get Taysom Hill or something as another quarterback to not be our starter, but to always play. And defense needs to get all around better. We got Matt Patricia back at defensive coordinator, so I'm happy with that. But the defense just needs to get better all around. This is going to take, I mean, unless we hit the jackpot in the draft and a killer free agency, this is going to take 2 to 3 years of drafting to fix and some great free agency moves and keeping Matt Patricia the entire time. That's what I think we could do to kind of help, realistically, to boost the New England Patriots. And now the final segment of episode 1 of the Shaney Show. If you're here, thank you for being here this whole time, for watching on Shaney Clips. Hello. So the final segment I want to do is about Brady versus Jordan. So after we talked about with Sarge before about Super Bowl Sunday, now I want to talk about the GOAT of all GOATs. Now, I could have included Wayne Gretzky. I could have included Tiger Woods. I could have included Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali. I could have included a lot of other GOATs. But this one I feel like is just such a good battle. And I feel like this is worth talking about. Who is a better athlete? Athlete, we know the answer, it's Jordan. But who is better at their respective sport? Tom Brady or Michael Jordan? Now, this is one that is very tough to debate against. It's very tough because, obviously, 2 different sports. Anytime you try and pair them together, it's near impossible. So I'm going to make a case for both. So we'll start with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was 6-0 in the NBA Finals, something that, 6-0, undefeated, 2 different three-peats. It's unprecedented in the NBA. He retired 2 times. Now, this might sound like something that you could use against him. It's not. He retired, came back with the same team twice, and then also came back with the Wizards and played in his 40s after 9/11. That's impressive. Now, retiring once after saying he did everything he could in basketball, coming back, winning 3 more titles, leaving again for a couple years, and then coming back and playing again for the Wizards, that's beautiful to me. I really, really said bad things about Brett Favre for leaving before. Totally different story, if I'm being honest. He also played baseball. He went to another sport, did better than anyone. Now, a lot of people really don't like his baseball career. I don't blame you, because it was awful. But, that being said, he didn't touch a bat from high school into his 30s. And then he went, and he played baseball. And he played baseball after, over 10 years of not playing baseball and dominating one sport. And he went and he played, and he obviously didn't start in the MLB or anything, but it's still pretty impressive, and that's just a testament to how good he is. He's the undisputed GOAT of his sport. I'm not undisputed. I'm sorry. He is a highly, highly, highly debated GOAT. And also never went to a Game 7. That's just something that's really good to mention. Again, undefeated. And he is, if not number 1, he's number 2. There's no debate there. Now let's go on to Tom Brady. 7-3 in Super Bowls. Super Bowls, in my opinion, are tougher to get to than NBA Finals. It's a one-game elimination type thing, so I can't even say that that's really the same. Most Super Bowl appearances of all time by a player, that's pretty incredible. This isn't a LeBron-type story where he's just going in and losing so many years in a row. He's 7-3. We also got to talk about most Super Bowl wins of any player or franchise. Now, the any player thing's really cool, but the fact that the 2 leading franchises in Super Bowl wins are the Patriots, who he was on, won all of their rings with 6, and the Steelers with 6 are tied, and then Tom Brady himself has 7. No one in any 4 sports have done that. Bill Russell won 11 with the Celtics, but Tom Brady has more than any franchise in NFL history. That's just amazing. He did it in 2 conferences, which was a big deal, something Jordan didn't do. Jordan always stayed in the East. Brady went to the rivaled conference, the NFC, which was always debated as a harder conference to play in. And he just dominated. He did something a lot of people didn't say. He did something LeBron is doing right now, left for the West. And he went to the other conference, and in his first year, he won an NFC title, which he's now won the same amount of Super Bowls as Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, just in the NFC alone. Beautiful by Brady. And he's the undisputed GOAT of his sport. Now, the only reason I'm going to give this to Tom Brady, I'm giving Tom Brady the argument. This is not based off athleticism. This is based off legacy, and this is based off how good he was. Tom Brady wins because he is doing this at age 43, and he's been consistent for 21 seasons. Now, if Jordan hadn't retired, it would be a different story, because I do firmly believe Jordan would have 8 to 9 championships in his career, or at least 7. And if Jordan stayed, I love Jordan. Last Dance was amazing. You can't even say, the help thing, Jordan never did without Scotty. Yeah, well, if Brady didn't have Vinatieri in 3 Super Bowls, he wouldn't have won. If Brady didn't have Malcolm Butler in his 4th Super Bowl, he wouldn't have won. If Brady didn't have himself in Super Bowl 51, which that's another thing I'll bring up, 28-3, greatest comeback in all of sports history, in my opinion. Second biggest comeback in NFL history. First overtime Super Bowl ever. You can tell I'm a Patriots fan. And this isn't biased. It's based off by facts. If you have trust me, most clutch, I'm still going to give it to Brady. Because Brady is he always is trailing and comes back. This Super Bowl was the Super Bowl 55 that I'm talking about against Mahomes. That was the best scoring Super Bowl he's ever done. And it was the biggest margin by 22. Besides that, the biggest he'd won by was 10 against the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 53, which, I mean, by all means, is amazing. Besides that, all of them were within one score. Eagles, one score. Seahawks, obviously, one score. Panthers, Eagles, Rams, all of those were also one score. Impressive by all means. Now, the thing about Jordan is he played a lot of crazy competition. He played players like Malone and Stockton. The problem with Malone and Stockton is both never won a title, so it kind of brings their competition down a little bit. Then he got Magic Johnson. Well, he was old towards the end of his career. This is pre-AIDS Magic Johnson. Who knows what would have happened if the Lakers could have stayed together. He never had to play against players like Shaq and Kobe. Brady has gone through decades of competition. He's went through the Michael Vick Eagles, not in the Super Bowl, but he's played against them. He went through, let's see, what dynasties has Brady gone through? He went through the very tough Rams in the beginning of his career. He had to play the Giants every year. Now, that can be looked at as a blemish, or that can be looked at as, I do believe that if the Kobe and Shaq Lakers got to play against the Bulls late in Mike's career, he would have lost. So that would have been a blemish on his career, but I'm not going to use that. Yes, the Giants were his kryptonite, and you can even say the backup quarterback, Nick Foles, Eagles, yada, yada, yada. Great games, all three of them. But the thing is, the competition's just not there. And then also the Supersonics, really. What's another team Jordan played in the finals? So we already got 4 of them actually. I believe they played. Well, it doesn't matter, to be fair. I'm saying all these teams like it matters. Judging them based off the NFL teams Brady played is not fair. But Brady did go in as underdogs every time, while Jordan did have an insane team around him, but also football, more men on the field, bigger team sport. I just got to give it to Brady, and that I'm not going to discuss any longer. That's all for episode 1 of the Shaney Show. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun to make. I'm going to try and get this out every Monday, but my track season is starting for sports in high school. And we're on the road to 800 subs, so subscribe and check out the Shaney Show clips. If you want to see any clips individually, they'll always be there, so subscribe. Turn Post Noise there, Turn Post Noise here, so you can always get the clips a few hours after the show comes out. And that's all, guys. Everybody stay safe. Everybody have a good one. Peace out.